Billy, are we good to start, sir? All right. Very good. Well, thank you everybody for joining. It's 1:35 here on PM on Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. And I'll call this meeting to order for the South Central Regional Transit District Board. Let me, as the first order of business, if you can, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. And David, if you wouldn't mind helping me with roll call, please.
I will, thank you. Commissioner Sanchez,
Present.
Mayor Holguin. Councilmember Munoz
Present.
and Mayor Perea.
Present.
I believe those are the four that we have online right now.
No, we also have Trustee Cadena from the town of Mesilla.
Okay. Trustee Candela,
Present.
thank you.
So we have 5, and that gives us quorum. Thank you all for joining again. And so we'll move on to agenda item number 4, which is our approval of agenda. If I can get a motion and a second to approve.
Move to approve.
All right, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem, I think that was Mayor Pro Tem Munoz.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And I'll second the motion. All right, are there any changes to the agenda? Any concerns? All right, I'm seeing no changes. And with that, we'll do a roll call vote. Okay,
Yes, Commissioner Sanchez,
yes.
Mayor Holguin,
Yes.
Councilmember Munoz,
Yes.
Mayor Perea,
Yes.
and Trustee Cadena.
Yes.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, we're on to public input. Are there any members of the public that are like to give any input? I'm not seeing anybody here in the chambers. And so with that, I'll take that as there is no public input at this time. So move on to agenda item number 6, which is the approval of the South Central Regional Transit District meeting minutes of January 28, 2026. If I can get a motion and a second to begin discussion, please.
I move to approve, Mr. Chair.
All right, I have a motion by Mayor Padilla. I will second the motion. Are there any changes or concerns with the meeting minutes?
Mr. Chair, I do have an amendment.
Yes, please.
Sorry, print out the document. It is under item 8. It does read, Rosa Hernandez was the vice chair for 2025, but is no longer mayor of Mesilla and is no longer on the board. I would like to request a slight change to, for it to read, is no longer on the board since he's still the mayor of Mesilla.
Okay, so I'll make, I'll take that as a motion, and I'll second the motion for the amendment to make that notation that Mayor Hernandez is not on the board, but is still the mayor of the town of Mesilla. Okay. We'll do a quick roll call vote on that. Trustee Cadena?
Yes.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem Munoz?
Yes.
Mayor Perea?
Yes.
Vice Chair Holguin?
Yes.
I, Chair Sanchez, vote yes. And so with that, the item is approved, or the amendment is approved. So we're back to the meeting minutes of January 28th, 2026 as amended. Are there any other changes or concerns?
That'll
Okay.
be all.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. All right, with that, then I'll do a roll call vote on the meeting minutes from January 28th, 2026 as amended. Trustee Cadena, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Munoz?
Yes.
Mayor Perea?
Yes.
Vice Chair Holguin?
Yes.
Chair Sanchez, I vote yes. And with that, the meeting minutes as amended are approved. All right, then agenda item number 7 is the Executive Director's Report. I will turn this over to Mr. David Armijo, who's making his way down to the podium.
So good afternoon. David Armijo, Executive Director. I'll be presenting a brief report, give you some insights into the last month. I'm going to focus a little more on ridership, since ridership oftentimes we report monthly, but I wanted to give a little bit of analysis to what we're seeing as we're approaching mid-year, because our budget year actually starts on July, fiscal year starts October, but we're about halfway into the year. So talking about the January ridership, we had a good month, 16,385. That's much higher than a year ago. A lot of that is still coming from the dominance that we get from the yellow route, which picks up more than half of our ridership, or in this particular case, 57%. We have stable demand, and ridership is continuing to grow at about 13.549% for the year, which is pretty healthy. Most agencies are lucky to have single-digit ridership growth. Some of the operational status includes we have very strong on-time performance. It's probably one of the single benefits that we've done since we started. We were pretty good at maintaining our service and being on time. We do have really good preventive maintenance, and we've had stable staffing. Staffing has always been an issue for coach operators around the country, but we've done very well in our area. Financial and grants, we have ongoing reimbursements, grant compliance, and budget alignment. This is always a challenge for Adam as he's trying to deal with accounts receivable versus accounts payable. Capital projects, just give me a little window of opportunity here. During the month of January, we began, well, actually breaking ground in March, but we began clearing the property to get ready for the solar array. If you look at the top part of your picture there, you'll see all the rough trees and bushes and whatever else. Never quite realized that that would actually represent almost 2 acres. It's actually 1.75. It's a lot of our 7.5 acre project. It's really a lot of area. Charging stations, we're planning to add a 4th charger. We have 3 down below. I'm not sure well you can see that from this photo. You can only see one in the very middle, but we do have an additional charger. We'd like to put that into place. Other upgrades include electronic gates and asphalt upgrades, which we just completed in Anthony in the last 30 days. Interesting recent photo of the fleet. This kind of shows a little bit of on the bookends. You've got the battery electric bus on the right. You have our hybrid electric on the left. In the middle, you have the EV vehicle, and then one of our standard mid-sized buses. We're looking to get more of the EVs in the coming year. Capital outlay requests, we requested $505,000 for the legislature, and we ended up getting $705,000. So we did very, very well. I think it goes without saying that the ongoing support among our state reps has been really solid, and they really come to our aid when we've needed them. Those funds will be helping our Venus project in Cruces as we look to put more money into the capital development of that property as we hopefully move into construction a year from now. We still have to finish acquisition. MPO coordination, we're still waiting on, and in fact, this is the week we're due in to get our triennial review information. And one of the areas we're going to be remiss is that we still don't have an agreement with the MPO. We're still waiting on their legal review relative to what we could do with New Mexico DOT, City of Las Cruces, and ourselves. We do have a marketing RFP. One of the challenges we've had is we've grown ridership very well, but we've done that with mostly in-house resources to do a lot of that. So we're now looking at bringing in someone to help us with everything from branding and just kind of a recognition of what are the types of things we could do maybe a little differently. Again, ridership growth is positive for the year. Capital delivery is moving on track, and we're continuing to move towards a sustainability. Probably in that area, we'll come back in June when we're done with the solar array, but our preliminary numbers show that we will exceed the resources we need to charge both the vehicles on the property as well as the 2 facilities we have. So we expect to have a zero emission aspect, 0 carbons for that facility. We should have more than enough additional resources to charge after hours and so on. Department budget submissions, Adam's working on that now. He'll have that in place for the board next month. We'll be finalizing our board packet and doing more performance monitoring. We also have the county documents for submission. I've done a draft that's actually going through an internal review right now, so we're ready to go with that. We also had the commitment to work with the Transportation Development plan for the El Paso MPO. And so that was completed, and we submitted that for their review 2 weeks ago. And that's it. Any questions?
Board members, are there any questions? No? The only one comment, well, one, I want to say thank you to our state legislators for the support. I know it's always a fight or a challenge to try to make up the monies, but really appreciate the support, and because I think they've started to see, hopefully, the benefits of the SCRTD, the reach. So it's appreciative of that. One thing, for what it's worth, I think the executive committee for the Mesilla Valley MPO was working on trying to give some guidance and was going to come back in March to the MPO policy board for, I think, review and approval, but I'm not sure exactly if that's the timing of it, but it's my understanding that there was, I guess, some of the conversations, I don't know if they've had with you all about it, but I haven't, that's about as far as we got, so I think it's supposed to be, my understanding was come to the Mesilla Valley MPO in March.
The important point I can make for the board is that's the same document they've had since July. So it's a very slow return on that. I brought it to this board a month ago.
yeah.
But most importantly, when I submit the deadline for our triennial on Friday,
Yeah.
I will be submitting that we are remiss. We don't have an agreement with the state. And I had an agreement in place 3 years ago, and the parties chose not to sign off on it then. So I don't know where that goes with our triennial review, but this was unnecessary. The delay that we've had with the Mesilla Valley MPO is problematic.
And I think a lot of that was due to the fact that they were, well, I can just speak for now. I can't say I can speak officially for the MPO, just saying from where I sit on the MPO. There was flux with the transition away from being within the city of Las Cruces, becoming a standalone MPO organization. Along with that, there was some changes in the legal representation, and it took a little while to get that resolved. And so, like I said, that seems to be moving again. So for what that's worth, I said, I can't speak to all the discussions that you all have had because I haven't been a part of them. Yep. But just saying, like I said, I know that was probably part of the holdup was that transition and the issue we were having with some of the legal piece.
Well, I think the agreement, once it's done, will be beneficial to all the parties. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm just disappointed that it's taken this long.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, I can say for sure that it's there's been discussion. It was part of a discussion during the last MPO meeting. So I anticipate, like I said, it was going to be coming forward in March.
Good. All right. Thank you for that.
And then the last, I think you probably already, as part of the county documents, I think we've kind of mentioned a little bit that we're working on a biannual budget. So hopefully that'll be part of I guess, building that is not just what we're looking at for this year, but potentially starting to look into the following year for the plans for SCRTD and potentially what the growth. So like I said, things will change along the way, but I think
I think it's a good idea. We did have a 2-year agreement last year, and they were asked to switch it back to 1. So a 2-year agreement, I think, is a better way to go. So we can certainly make those modifications for a second year and just submit one document.
Okay.
So should have that to them next month. All right. I'm on the next presentation, next item.
All right.
And they're ready to switch. There we go.
Yeah. So then this is the
Anniversary, 10 years.
the next. God, that's okay. So agenda item number 8, discussion presentation of our 10-year anniversary of SCRTD transit service.
Thank you. So 10 years was actually this past Sunday, and it is good that we do have some Sunday service. All but one route now operates 6 days a week, so we do have service throughout the service area from Hatch all the way down through Sunland Park and all the way across the district from Anthony through our turquoise route through Chaparral. So we have quite a bit of service 6 days a week, and then we have service on Sunday. Sunday is just the silver route and the yellow route, but they handled our anniversary for the district. So this goes back a bit. I'll just go through a few slides to kind of commemorate this moment. There's our mission, and by the way, that's not the original mission. We changed it a few years ago. So we basically do provide a safe, reliable, regional transit support for rural, intercity, and workforce mobility, strengthen economic connectivity across Doña County. When the board made that decision to change the original plan, which was from 2006 to 2018, I think it was pretty well foreseen, because we do a significant amount of rural and inner city, which is what's drawing a lot of the resources we're now getting from El Paso, and hopefully we'll be getting from the Mesilla Valley going forward, and that helps us to provide more services. This is kind of a 10-year overview I kind of came up with. I go from left to right, but it does identify some of the key significant things that occurred from our rollout in 2016, when we had our first service expansion, when we only had the 4 bus routes and actually 5 buses. We now have 36 vehicles, buses and vans, that are used in revenue service. So we've grown substantially in 10 years. Probably in the middle of that is the 2020, the COVID response. That was the only year over the last 9 years in which ridership fell a bit. I shared that recently, and then the numbers, of course, came right back up. The ability to go from 4 routes, we dropped 1, so actually we went to 3, and then we've added 6 since then. And so one of the early additions was the Hatch, the green route. More recently, of course, we did the blue route. It got us into Sierra County a couple of years ago, almost 2 years ago. And then this past year, we did the magenta route in the northern part of Las Cruces, going up to the community center up in the, what is that called again?
But was it Butterfield?
Butterfield. I always want to say Bullworth for some reason. I think that was a movie. So Butterfield, yes, I know that facility very well. I made many presentations there. 2023 was our EV deployment, and in 2025, we began to work on the energy hub development, and that's where we'll be in 2026 when we wrap that up in June. So 4 months after our 10-year anniversary, that'll be in there. We now own 2 bus facilities, and we're planning a 3rd bus facility, so it's quite dynamic growth that we have. What I will say, and we'll do another presentation on a different time, one of the reasons we continue after 3 years in a row being #1 in the state, we may not be #1 for ridership, we may not be #1 for certain categories of the 7 performances, but we're #1 for cost, way out ahead of everyone. And our cost is as low as it is because our labor cost is low. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but our cost for the company. But where we control labor costs is, and I'll use Anthony as an example, we have almost 0 deadhead. We go across the street. We pull in at the transit center. That's it. So the deadhead is like feet. It's almost nothing. Many agencies like All Aboard America runs a deadhead from the northeast El Paso all the way to the Move It Center in Las Cruces. So that's got to be, what, 15 to, well, not 15, it's got to be 25, 30 miles. So a lot of deadhead, both beginning and end of the day, and those are costs, labor costs, fuel costs, and so on. Ours is near 0. In Cruces, we don't have a facility yet, but we do have the Memorial, was it the Mesilla Valley Hospital? There you go. And Loretta deals with the operators there. We have 3 buses there. So we're very fortunate to have that provided by them. We even have, is it 1 or 2 buses up in Hatch? 2. So we have buses and things everywhere. And so it's really a challenge to the operations and maintenance that we're able to do it. But because of that, we start our buses in Hatch. We actually have a van that drives the drivers to Hatch, and we pay for that cost for that, and then they start their day. So again, that service is near 0 emissions as it goes through. Only the deadhead coming back at the end of the day. So we've designed this very, very efficiently, and that's one of the reasons why I think in June will be our 4th year, and I think we're going to remain #1 for a long time. I don't think anyone can quite beat us at this, because we've got it really well settled. So anyway, it's something we can hang our hat on, among other things. System growth, as I've said before, it's been pretty dynamic, growing from 4 buses to 9 bus routes. Weekend service started last spring, almost a year ago. It's picking up about 20% of our ridership now is on the weekends. Cross-border connections into El Paso, of course, is strengthened with the yellow route and a new bus stop that we have right there with the folks at Sun Metro. And then, of course, we've got plans for microtransit ADA demand. We do expect with the transit review that they're probably going to direct us as a result of this review, which would be several months from now, that we'll need to look at putting some kind of demand response to connect to the yellow route. So they'll be very specific that in the Sunland Park area, we'll need to do this. They may be looking at us in Las Cruces as well. I'm thinking our copper route may be the one that they come in on next. I'm not sure if the silver will come in that way. It might be the purple, which would connect us to Anthony. Now, if that happens, then we would need to be doing some form of paratransit in at least 1, 2, or even 3 zones. That's going to be a lot of cost. However, the urban funds can be swapped into operating to pay for paratransit. So that would help us with El Paso. Getting this next move for urban funds in Mesilla Valley is critical for us because that would be the funding source we would be using to pay for those services. And then if you squeeze Anthony in the middle and Chaparral, they could benefit from those resources as well. There's some overlap between the two. So down the road, I think that paratransit may become one of our fast-growing areas in the next 3 to 5 years. Again, ridership, already talked about that. I think we're pretty much good. We think this year we're at 165,000 this past year. We think we'll get to 190. I'd like to get to 200,000, but I'm not sure we're going to make it. Again, ranked #1 in the state. Top rankings for ridership and cost efficiency through the performances. I didn't think at first I liked the fact that New Mexico DOT was measuring our performances, but now I'm very excited that they do that. Early on, it was tough, but we didn't have that much service. We got 5 battery electric buses in operation now, with 3 more coming in over the next few months. We have 2 Ford EVs in place, with 3 more coming in this year to bring us up to 8 and 5. I guess we'll be up to about 13. So not quite half, or maybe 35% of our service will be with some form of a electric vehicle or zero emission. Capital infrastructure milestones. Certainly Sunland Park facility becoming fully operational later this year as a mobility hub. Getting the Venus operations and maintenance facility on the way in the next 18 months. Or I think it's going to take us 2 years to get that built out. And then we just finished Anthony facility improvements, so I'm not sure what else we have to do there. I'm looking at Adam because he's the one that keeps track of the money. But I think we've gotten what we need. Although there are some things we want to do for the neighborhood. I've been talking about ripping out that. We have 2 fences. We don't need 2 fences. They're chain link. But we might want to make an investment in some kind of a wall or do some kind of a soundproofing because we do have neighbors in the back. It's always better for us to get ahead of that curve than to have the neighbors coming to the city asking if we can do something. So that'll be a discussion we'll have with the local jurisdiction. Financial stewardship, millions of dollars have been secured in federal grants. We have a preliminary in our audit that when we'll bring that to the board, hopefully, Adam, you think next month or the month after, the audit report?
It should be ready hopefully next month.
Okay, so the audit report should be good. All we can say is preliminary, it looks good. But one of the things in there is that we added $8 million in assets. So our asset pool went from 3.2 million to just over 11 million. Is that about right, Adam? Almost 12. And we have another 9 million of projects and buses and stuff that'll go into next year's thing. So, we started with $14,000 in the bank. So, 8, 9 years ago, we've come a long ways. So the bus assets and the facilities really help. I think our partnerships have been strong with the MPOs and New Mexico DOT, and El Paso MPO, of course. And then we've been disciplined about our grant program and compliance. I think getting the funds from the legislature is good because that's a 2-year window that starts next year. So we're always trying to stay a little bit ahead of the curve. That's very helpful to us. Regional impact, we're going to be talking a lot more about workforce mobility with the Santa Teresa Industrial Park. Adam and I joined as BIA members about almost 2 years ago now, I think. Yeah, within the last 2 years. We have had some discussions there. We've talked about the new, what do we call it? Solar?
The
Jupiter project.
Well, Project Jupiter or Greenworks?
Project Jupiter, Venus, Project, yeah. So we're actually in discussions with some other folks on that. So we're always looking to get ahead. I think getting a route that connects, that's the last project in our first 10-year plan we didn't do. Getting a project that connects to Santa Teresa, to Sunland Park Santa Teresa will be really big. and then connecting that to other communities, whether it be Las Cruces, El Paso, Anthony, and so on, will be very important. And then our free fare program will continue through the end of this year. We'll be discussing that budget time as to how much further we go with that. COVID-19 decline and recovery, those are the challenges we have. We're still seeing supply chains. We got our first of 2 buses, the hybrids, delivered about a week ago from Livermore, California. The one that's still waiting there, it's actually built, but it doesn't have, it's missing windows. This is not good for a bus. It's missing windows. In fact, the first one was
No need for
missing,
air conditioning.
one was missing 2 windows. I don't even want to know, Albert's not here, but I'm pretty damn sure that they cannibalized our bus to give it the windows so they could release it. So we got a bus and we got all the windows, but we have a bus that doesn't have it. I saw this when I went out there. Adam and I went there to the facility last year, and we saw, how many, was it 300 buses, Adam? Yeah, all these buses are finished and built, but they're waiting for parts, so we're not completely out of COVID yet. I know that's an excuse. It sounds like an excuse, but it still seems to be reality. But we're having to deal with that. Again, I think strategic response has been a discipline for us as we prepare. There's my growth chart. You can see the numbers. The little dip is where COVID hit, and then where we are now is going towards. If I'm projecting out to the 190, it actually has to go off the box a little bit, but it's in there. So we're very proud of this. I think that's one of the success stories for the district and for the community. Our vision for the coming year, again, we'll see more of the EVs as we begin planning. We think the EVs will be a good structure for the demand response because the ones we have, and correct me, Loretta, those have the ramp, right? We like the ramps, not the lifts. It's much quicker for the riders. And quite frankly, most of our riders who have a disability, the disability is not a wheelchair. It's going to be a walker, it's a cane. And honestly, we also have, which is ironic, we have partners or people who are the ones that provide assistance. I've seen this in different communities. Sometimes the ones that provide assistance need assistance. So, it's not going to be easy. I've had them come with a family with a stroller and 2 kids. Those are the attendants for the person who's in the wheelchair. So you got the wheelchair, you got the stroller. We have all these things. So these are challenges we're going to have to meet, but we're excited about that going forward. I think it's a new type of service we provide. We may find that the demand response service in our community, as that grows over the next 5 to 10 years, may be one of the more significant projects that we do in Doña County, because there's a lot of people who need these programs and they're living outside of Las Cruces. They don't get the services. We've had those discussions before. So here we go. Our target, 250,000 people by 2030. That's where we're going, if not more. And that's our vision. Our final conclusion, again, 10 years of growth. We think that, and we need to talk more about this with the county and others. This has really been an economic tool. I always focus on Adam. What is our annual budget now, Adam? Annual budget for the district. Okay. So that's $4 million that 10 years ago was not in the community. So yes, a big chunk of that is labor costs, but hey, those labor, the 49 positions we have right now, those are people working in our neighborhoods and our community, providing support to their families. So that $4 million we put in there, it's not the 10 million that's coming out of the capital for the facilities and the buses, but that 4 million are people, and they make a huge economic difference in our local community. So we believe that's a significant story to be told for the district as we've gone forward through 10 years. And this is what we're going to put out on some of our vehicles. We're having, I guess, a couple of them worked on right now. So we'll have some wraps that will emphasize the 10-year anniversary and the fact that we're doing this throughout the county, Sarah County, and downtown El Paso. We can't capture everybody on there, but we try to put as many as we could. We think that having a few of these vehicles for a while. So we'll also do some things on the 10 years. So it won't just be today. We'll have some other events and things along the way. And that's the end of my presentation. Are there any questions?
I'd say on the wrap, hopefully the downtown is not was spelled correctly because it's got 2 T's there.
Oh, there you go. Hey, ChatGPT, right? I'm sure that was a Canva deal.
But otherwise, I think it's an amazing story, and I know the growth has been amazing. I did just a thought, and I was thinking during your executive director report when we're looking at branding, I would love for us to maybe figure out within the different communities where some of the stops are, where we have small businesses. Is there an opportunity to either exchange or allow some level of advertisement within within the buses or online? In exchange, those small businesses push or advertise for us, right? If you have something in like Village of Hatch or Anthony, Sunland Park, that's near one of the stops, and they tell their people as part of their advertisement, hey, you don't have to drive, you can catch the SCRTD bus, and here's the routes, and allow them to try to market to their customer base to where it's a mutual benefit to where, you know, people can support those small businesses, but then they also provide patronage to the SCRTD, and we start really getting that. Like I said, I think when you have the community advocating on behalf of what we do, I think it really helps build that trust and build that message because of that. And I'll just add one little thing too, is that, you know, I think on the copper route, for example, I know it's not always, a lot of the stops aren't always utilized, but there'll be occasionally, the one that I see a lot because it's right around the corner from my house is the Big Star Ace on North Valley. And, you know, it's not every time, but I say at least I see a couple people a week using that stop, or, you know, but I think having the service there lets people know they can use it. And I've started to see, I've had more occasions where I've seen people waiting for the stop. And then within about 5 minutes or so, I see the bus driving, the vehicle driving up, and then they catch it and head into town. So I'm really appreciative of the growth that we have. I'd love for us to continue to figure out how to continue to make that chart go up.
Yes.
For for the, like you talked about benefit to the community. I would love for our small businesses to help us on that journey too, because they can benefit from it.
I think that's a great idea. The other thing we want to launch is a program working much more closely with the nonprofits throughout the district, because there's opportunities there to do that. The staff is also looking at some pilots where there's a stop pole that actually has a flip seat. So the seat flips as a chair on the stop. So you can actually sit at the stop waiting for the bus, and signs right above your head. But, you know, I think it's looking at things like that. We're looking at some pilots on shelters where we could build in solar into those so that there's solar lighting. So we'd like to do a lot of those. We know that the next big move for us is not facilities and buses, but it's going to be shelters.
Yeah.
It's got to be a major project. Shelters take a lot of energy and time, and we're starting to get the staff to do that now. We didn't have it before.
Cool, awesome. Thank you, David. Are there any other questions or comments from the board?
Mr. Chair,
Please, Mayor Perea.
my question is on the ridership growth. David, do we close those numbers at the end of our fiscal year, or is it the federal fiscal year?
We're using the federal fiscal year because that's the NTD. We do that with the state. So we submit those data numbers to them, they review them, and they're reviewed by our federal folks. I oftentimes do report the fiscal year data that we have through July, and then I have a separate report for the fiscal year. So we have two reports.
So there's time to get to 200,000.
Well, we have a much better shot in November because our ridership is picking up from the winter. So I need a few good warm months for that. And we're doing some creative things. We're going to be launching in your town, Sunland Park, a senior van program. And so we're going to do it under the auspices of a van pool because there's a couple of trips a day we'll be doing with them. And they have all kinds of benefits. They're seniors, you know. We think that's another opportunity. We can reach out to some of the smaller cities and see if we can put those in place. We have the one van pool that's going up to Sierra County now. So that we think those are less costly for us to do because it's small. Well, there you see it. That's the vehicle. You know, something smaller that we can utilize. Less costly.
That works. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Mayor Padilla. Are there any other questions, comments?
There you go.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. All right, next up is agenda item number 9. It's a discussion and update of the SCRTD compensation study. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Mark Holcomb, who I believe is online.
Hello, good afternoon. How's everybody doing today?
Good, thank you. How are you doing, sir?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Well, I've got a presentation here, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and kind of walk through a summary of the compensation study. And this hits the high level information, but if you all have any questions or would like me to go into anything else, please let me know. Let's see. Okay, should be sharing or at least coming up for y'all now. Can you all see that?
Yes, sir. It is on our screen.
Okay, perfect. Well then, in the overview today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through a little bit of the study goals. So kind of what were we asked to do with this engagement? We'll talk about the project phases. So what were the steps that we took to achieve the study and to complete the study. Then we will go over the market results and talk to you about kind of what did it mean, what did we see, and then the recommendations as well, and kind of what were the things that we left with of, hey, here's some things that we see. So this was a compensation study. So the main focus of this was really surveying your peer organizations to ensure external equity. We did complete this study in sort of a joint effort across the state, but in particular with the North Central Regional Transit District. So this, was one component of a larger study. So while we did collect information, again, across the state and actually some surrounding states as well, you all did get a more focused review of your external equity as it related to your specific peers. And then we did utilize that to make recommendations on your system. And sort of talk about updates and what we would see. So that external analysis, we did do a compensation survey to look at market positioning, but we did also do a solution where we'll call it sort of the implementation. We did look at a few different options. So it wasn't just, hey, move the whole scale by X percent and, that's that. But we did look at kind of, hey, what does it look like in your system? Do we need to adjust specific positions or, how would we, achieve those goals? And then had some reporting as well. So we do have a written report as well as a presentation like this to go through the overall findings and results. So for your market survey, we did get responses from 18 different organizations. They are over on the right-hand side. Again, these were all adjusted for your cost of living at SCRTD. So some of the peers obviously would have been utilized for the wider study or for NCRTD, but all of this was put into the basically the spending power that you all would have in your your part of the state. We did look at 16 different jobs directly coming from SCRTD, and we got an average response rate of almost 10 matches per position. So that's an excellent response rate. It really makes sure that we're not doing anything like letting a single outlier or letting your highest or lowest paid peer influence the results too much. Of course, we're not going to get responses from every single classification, every single organization, because everybody operates a little bit differently. And so those 10 matches came only from those organizations who had a matching position. And we did utilize job descriptions to ensure those positional matches. So we use your job descriptions as compared to the peers to make the comparisons based on duties and responsibilities, not job titles. So with that being said, we did find a big market gap, actually, again, even when taking into account cost of living. And so we did find you ought to be about 15 or so, almost 20% behind the market, depending on where you look, and depending on each classification. These are the overall average results. So they are not true for every single classification. Some classifications did a little bit better. Some did a little bit worse. And so again, this is the average response here. But we did see that y'all fell behind. Additionally, it is worth noting that 5% difference between the minimum and the maximum. Your ranges are a little bit more narrow than what the peers would do. And so the peers have basically a little bit more room to grow in their pay ranges over the course of their career. So that was something that we looked at and again, was sort of one of the important takeaways here. So with our recommendations, then we did recommend adopting an adjusted market responsive pay plan. Then we looked at assigning individual classifications to that pay plan as needed. So again, I said before, those are the average results. We didn't just recommend to slide everybody or move everybody by the same amount. Obviously, if a position was 20% below market, it needs a bigger adjustment than one that was 5% below market. And again, you did see, some of those positions came back in a pretty reasonable spot, and others, again, a little bit less so. And then lastly, we did talk about a few different options of how do you adjust employees into those pay scales or pay ranges. So even if you do a market adjustment to the plan, even if you change grades for the certain classifications, you still have to look at and consider what happens to particular positions, to particular employees coming into the scale. So one option is bringing people in at the minimum. One option is looking at time across the organization or their classification. And so again, essentially, we did look at based on the cost and the approach that the organization was able to implement. Bringing those employees in, making sure everybody is above that minimum, salary, making sure everybody's in the new pay scale, was the option again that we found to be something that you all could sustain and could run with. So this shows actually the fiscal impact to employee salaries here. These would be base salary adjustments, so you would still have to consider the fringe and the benefit, the retirement, all those kinds of things and kinds of costs. But again, your total reoccurring payroll cost would be about $65,000, almost $1,000 per year based on these recommendations. This would ensure that classifications were all in the newly recommended market responsive pay scales. So I know that was sort of a high-level summary. I'm happy to go into more detail or talk a little bit more about the process or anything else that we went through. And so, yeah, I'll kind of stop sharing and be here if y'all have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Holcomb. Board members, are there any questions?
Mr. Chair and board members, Mark, what was that amount? The 10, was that 65 or 62 or where? Tell me that amount again.
You're saying the cost amount, the total cost?
Yeah.
It was $62,271, so a little bit less than $65,000. That would be the annual reoccurring cost, because of course, if you increase somebody's salary, that cost has to be in the budget every year.
Gotcha. Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I wanted to say a couple words for this. We'll be bringing a definitive plan with comparison for where we are now in the current budget year and where we're going in the next budget year relative to the comp study. Adam will present that. He'll give you the entire personnel, so you'll see every position as it breaks down. I think the most important number in there is that we're looking at about almost a 3% bump overall in the costs. But as I recall, and Mark, you can help me with this, we're looking at about 25 positions out of the 49 positions that we have. So about 1 out of 2 would have this effect.
Yep. That's exactly right.
So it's not as inflationary as you would think. The second element, because it is base building, will be where we go in the coming year, and that's Adam's going to build in. I think our target right now, we always look at the other cities and member districts to see where they are. We think that from what we're hearing so far, that's close to 3%. So we know that the inflation rate's been pretty close to that. It was 3% in December. The annual for last year was a little bit lower than that, so we'll take a closer look at that. That will also affect what we do, as Mark knows. When we looked at this about 5 years ago, the last comp study, one of the things we needed to do is try to catch up. But we've been doing that. The board's actually been very generous. We've been having 5% COLAs for the last 2 or 3 years. And we generally do merit programs, but we've done the COLAs because we needed to catch up. Not necessarily the smartest move to go forward. I'll leave it to Mark if he wants to comment on that. But it's all we could afford at the time. And so right now our financials are much better. So we'll have a different discussion this year than what we've probably had in the past. But with that said, this is a presentation today. Any decision on doing this will be dependent on the budget. and not what we do today. So that's why we're not an approval here today, but it is an opportunity to challenge Mark on his numbers. And by the way, I'm sorry I didn't give this as an opening. We're doing this in concert with NCRTD, the North County Transit District. They actually handled this procurement. The cost for Mark is being borne by 80% of the cost from the New Mexico Department of Transportation, and the 20% is split half and half with us and NCRTD, which we think is a good business arrangement. What we did differently this go around because of that business arrangement, Mark did a really good job of making sure we got local comparisons. So when we're looking at the numbers, we're looking at not just what's happening in the northern part of the state, but we're looking at how that affects us in the south. And I believe, Mark, I don't know if you want to add to it, but you took into account market rates and some other things to kind of smooth the numbers. Maybe you can talk to that quickly, briefly.
Yeah, absolutely. I know one of the things that was mentioned at the start of the project was a little bit of concern, again, about making sure that you all had some of the comparables across the state. I think in the past, there's been a little more focus on the north. So, you know, we did want to make sure you had a good comparison throughout. But yeah, we did basically adjust all of the salaries that we returned to be your local cost of living. And so that would be done essentially by saying if an organization, if the cost of living there is 5% higher than the cost of living you all have, it essentially would drop by, you know, the salaries that return by 5%. Conversely, if the salary that they return is, if their cost of living is 5% lower, we would raise that salary by 5%. And so in that way, you're making sure that you're doing an apples to apples comparison. Nobody's incentivized. And sometimes if you don't do adjustments, people say, well, we want them because they've got high cost of living. Let's compare our salaries that way. It doesn't really make sense, you know, in that manner, because then you're trying to compete with an organization again with potentially, you know, higher tax base, higher cost of living, maybe a higher budget. So the adjustments do make sure that even if you look at somebody who's a little more expensive, a little less, you're still getting basically the same bang for your buck for the salaries that we're proposing and recommending. So that's definitely something that's important to us to make sure as we make those comparisons, it's appropriate for you all.
Good. Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Absolutely. Mr. Chair.
Mayor Padilla?
So these numbers only account for the pay, it doesn't account for the benefits. That's correct. Is that correct?
Correct. The 65,000 about that I gave would be your salary cost only. Benefit, fringe costs, you know, some organizations anywhere from 20, 30, 40%, whatever. You'd probably need to tack that on. So your total cost might be approaching 100,000, but that would be something finance can do. We're happy to help with that if needed, but we would just need that fringe percentage number. And we could apply that to our files if needed.
And so then moving forward, David, are we going to move with a plan overall for implementing this, or is this just something we're going to specifically target this year?
That's a good question. We had thought about smoothing this out by doing a mid-year adjustment to reduce the cost by half, but we recognized that there were too many other factors going on. So we thought, no, what we're going to do is we'll bring it to the board beginning as early as next month as we start the discussions of the budget. We have until June to resolve that. And what we'll do is give the board some options. So yes, we could still go forward with, if we think we can do all this and catch us up at one time, then that would be one option. Another option might be, how do we maybe smooth it out for next year? So maybe we come in with a 50-50 and we do an annual budget, and then we do a midterm budget. Obviously, the benefit to do that is you're reducing your annual costs substantially if you were to reduce it by half. So those are some things, you know, we want to make sure the board has some options where we're going to go. We didn't get here overnight. It took us a little while to get here, so we can't solve it at one time, but maybe we can solve it in a couple of different efforts and try to solve it over a 2-year period as opposed to a 1-year period. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mayor Padilla. Any other questions?
That's it.
I think, David, I think when we bring this forward for discussion and approval, I think I'd be kind of curious to get a better idea of, you know, kind of what those ranges are and look at kind of long-term, at least some of the recommendations from Mark. As I know it's kind of consolidated for the overall impact, but I think when we have that discussion, it'd be nice to maybe have a little more detail so we can kind of see how that's broken up.
Sure,
and if we need to make any other adjustments or any other potential recommendations so that we're not maybe, depending on where we're at financially, what the board suggests, maybe we don't, it's not just at the minimum, but maybe we go more towards the average. But, I don't know. Like I said, we can have that further discussion, I think, at that point.
That's a very good point. The other element to it is that not all things are equal. You have the administration side of it, you have the operators, and you have the mechanics. Mechanics oftentimes are the most challenging in the marketplace for the challenges. We've been able, with the help of the board's approval over the last 2 or 3 years, we've been able to get ourselves into a more competitive position on the driver salaries. There will be some adjustments in this comp study with it, but that is not as bad off as it would have been 2 years ago. So we've already made some progress going into this presentation. In fact, the fact that it's only half the positions that are affected references that progress.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right. All right, Mr. Holcomb, thank you so much. Appreciate your time and the work that you've done.
All right. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, then we're on, next item for business is agenda item number 10. And I was going to ask, I said this is approval of resolution of amendment, for annual officer board appointments.
For what we did last week, and then we
Yeah.
updated it. I know I had Liza do this. I don't see it in the packet, so there's a resolution.
Yeah, it should be page 14, I believe.
Wow. It's in a different location. Oh, okay, it's in a different location. Thank you. I was looking at the very end. So what we're doing here is, since we made the motions and the and the votes for some people present and not present last month, we felt we needed to come back and to make sure everything's in line with what actually did happen, not just what was in the minutes.
Okay, well, I guess I was going to ask, because we made votes on that and voted, so I didn't know if there was really a need for this, because we voted in an open session. It was an agendized item, so if the board is okay with it, I mean, we can still approve it and just go on our way, but just didn't see, I was kind of curious why it was needed, because we did take votes in an open session and it is recorded.
That is an option, and then we can just amend the original resolution to reflect that. I think that's what
I mean,
you're
we
saying.
can, either way is fine. I mean, we can go forward with this resolution. So I guess what I'll ask for is a motion and a second to approve resolution 2026-18, which is a resolution approving amended officer board appointments and confirming board members and alternates for the South Central Regional Transit District. This resolution reflects what was voted on in the meeting in January, which would assign myself, Commissioner Sanchez, as board chair, Mayor Gabriel Olguin from the city of Anthony as vice chair, as treasurer from the city of Sunland Park, Mayor Javier Perea, and then also from the city of Las Cruces, Mayor Pro Tem Munoz as secretary. And then we would maintain the representatives from the town of Mesilla, which I think at the time we had Trustee Garcia on from the village of Williamsburg, Mayor Pro Tem Meiji Powie, and from the village of Hatch, Trustee Robert Martinez. And then of course it has Mr. David Armijo as the executive director. So if I can get a motion and a second to approve this resolution.
So moved.
All right, I have a motion by Vice Chair Olguin. I will second the motion. Are there any concerns or questions on the proposed resolution? Okay, not hearing any. So I'll do a roll call vote on resolution 2026-18. Trustee Cadena, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Munoz?
Yes.
Mayor Perea?
Yes.
Vice Chair Olguin?
Yes.
Chair Sanchez, I vote yes. All right, and that amendment is approved. All right, the next item on the agenda is a number 11. It's a discussion and approval of resolution for proposed membership dues and increase.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome South Central Regional Transit District Board. I'm Adam Shea, the Finance Officer, and I'm here to present a request for an increase in membership dues. The last time that we had an increase was back in 2022, and it was to bring basically everybody into parity at 55 cents per person, dependent upon the population figures. We did look at the comparison between 2010 and 2020 and made that differential and approved it at in 2022, bringing our membership dues up to $132,753.30. Since then, we have taken a look at the Consumer Price Index and determined that overall, since this increase back in 2022, the cost of living has basically increased by 1.25%. In that, with that figure, we're looking at an increase of 0.068 or 0.069 cents added to the 55 cents, bringing it up to a total of 62 cents per person per based on the population of the latest census. And all that would increase the city of Las Cruces by $12,082.76. If you look at the chart that was provided in the presentation in the your documents, the column add cost increase decrease is the amount that we are proposing per municipality. So that would mean that for the city of Las Cruces, it would be an increase. However, for the Doña County overall, it would be a decrease. Sunland Park increase, and then decreases for town of Mesilla, Village of Hatch, City of Anthony, and then an increase for the town of Williamsburg, bringing the total of the membership dues up to $142,064.69. That's an overall 7% increase from where we currently stand. These amounts are foundational revenue for the South Central Regional Transit District, and they go into the costs, operational costs, as well as even offsetting matching for some of our grants. And this, with the increase in fuel, in personnel and employee benefits, as well as maintenance, we feel satisfied that this is it's not overburdened as far as an increase, and hopefully with the board's approval, we'll go ahead and for the fiscal year 2027, present these amounts to the municipalities. Are there any questions?
Board members, are there any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please go ahead, Mayor Padilla.
so are we basing the increase from 2020 or is it from 2010?
It's actually an increase from 2022. We used the census figures from 2020 because that was the latest census.
Okay. So Doña County is showing 77,000, but then you have 79,000 in 2025. That calculates a decrease?
Okay, thank you. That's a good point, and I forgot to mention that. Turns out with Doña County, we had the amount for per person. Instead of it was 55 cents per person, it was a higher rate. I don't have that available, but this adjusts those amounts down to what it should be. Does that make sense?
Why were we getting charged more?
We have to go back and look, excuse me, this is David Armio. We have to go back and look at the minutes. So it was an interesting board meeting. So the census data came in late in 2021. So we're using those data for the base year 2022 at the same time where we are now. We're exactly 4 years ago. And at the time, the numbers were closer to 58 cents. There was some concern because a couple of the cities, Anthony was one, along with Sunland Park, we actually had a drop off in population and this and that, whatever. and concerns from others. And so the decision was, let's not go up that much, we'll go to 55. So we changed it to 55, but so for some reason, we didn't change it for the county. So we owe the county for the last 3 years. We show it now what the numbers should be. So even though the numbers for county went up slightly and your rate went up a little bit, the numbers will be lower because of that.
Okay, not that I'm asking for refund. I was just curious, like, so no, that's fine, and I don't, I think if, yeah, so yeah, just curious. Thank you so much for that.
There you go.
Sorry, Mayor, but I didn't mean to jump in.
No, you're good. I think that answers my question. I'm like, the math wasn't mathing in my head, so I'm like,
Thank you for pointing that out. I did mean to actually point it out, but I didn't have it in my notes.
Correct. And the last comment I'll make, and this dates us back to our 10-year anniversary. So when we got here, and by the way, we have another anniversary coming up. November will be 20 years since the formation of the transit district in November. So we'll figure out something for that as well. It'll be a year of anniversaries. But it was stated by board members from a decade ago, and Representative Padilla, you might remember that conversation because it was at a board meeting, which was that because we didn't have anything until 2016. We didn't really have services. So there was really little discussion about membership fees. So at the time, what was said by a former member, I do remember it was Billy Garrett that said it, that we really should keep an eye on the membership fees and let these things grow as best we can. And we shouldn't wait for a decade on the census. We should do it every 5 years. That's how we got here today. So we're just following from where we've been in the past. I don't know if that helps at all, but we feel bad about the error, but we're going to sit down with the finance department, with the county, we'll resolve it, make sure we're correct.
and it's the same scenario throughout, like I think for Anthony. So I'm assuming it's the same scenario in each case?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Unfortunately, it turned out to be a different rate, which was unknown at the time.
All right. Good. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mayor Padilla. Thank you for catching that. Board members, are there any other questions, comments? Okay. If there are not, then what I'll do is ask for a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2026-19. It's a resolution approving the fiscal year 26 membership dues adjustment based on updated CPI and population data. So I can get a motion and a second for approval.
So moved.
All right. I have a motion by Vice Chair Holguin. I'll second the
Second.
motion. Oh, second by Mayor Padilla. Okay. Thank you. If there's no other discussion or comments, then I'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Cadena,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Munoz,
Yes.
Mayor Padilla,
Yes.
Vice Chair Holguin.
Yes.
All right, I, Chair Sanchez, I vote yes. And with that, the resolution is approved. Thank you. All right, item number 12, we're drawn to board comments. Are there any comments from the board? Okay,
Mr. Chair.
yes, Mayor Padilla.
I just want to say welcome. I see a couple new faces here, so welcome to all of the new board members on this board. I'm happy to see new faces on here, and I welcome you in joining this initiative of being able to unite everybody, at least through transit. And then on a second thing would be, are we looking at pushing for membership from TRC or anything like that? Is there anything that maybe we can help out with reaching out to, elected officials there into joining?
Very good question. It's on my list of things to do. Again, David Armijo. I have been out in the field a couple times. We had our RPO meeting in December, and I met with several of the players up there, and I had a separate meeting to help with the 10-year plan also in November, December time period. So my discussions with the cities of Williamsburg, Elephant Butte, and TRC have been in general, but I hope to formalize that a little bit. We would like to welcome them back into the fold. The program is doing very well. I mean, not only do we have the Blue Route operating out there, but we have the senior van program, which is actually a group of veterans that work up in TRC. And so those are very successful parts of our program. So we know we're late to the game. We were trying to get to Williamsburg and Elephant View and Cerro County for years, but now we're there and we're actually expanding our footprint. So that would be a message that I would take to those elected officials and see if we can get them back into the fold.
And I do want to offer, I did have a conversation with one of the counselors from Elephant View. When she mentioned, yeah, whenever you guys want to get, just let us know so we can add it to the agenda and you guys can make a presentation. So I think if the opportunity is there, I think we can try and jump on it. And if I need to help facilitate that, feel free to let me know. I'll work at your discretion, Mr. Chair.
He just walked away for a moment, so.
Oh. All right, that's all I have.
I think he's done. I think we're done. I think we're passing the gavel on to Mayor Holguin.
Any additional comments from other board members?
No, and Vice Chair Holguin, thank you for taking over. I had to jump on to virtually because I have to run and take care of pick up a kiddo. So thank you so much for finishing this up.
No problem, thank you. Okay, seeing and hearing none, we now move on to the next item, which is adjournment. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
Move to adjourn?
Second, Sanchez.
Okay, first motion has been made by Mayor Pro Tem. Second has been made by Commissioner Sanchez. Chair Sanchez, roll call, please.
Excuse me?
Yes.
I missed that.
I guess for roll call for.
Oh, I wanted to do a roll call. Oh, yeah.
Do you want me to do it? I can do it, David.
You got it?
Dude. Yeah. Trustee Cadena, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Munoz?
Yes.
Mayor Perea?
Yes.
I, Chair Sanchez, vote yes. How do you vote, Vice Chair Holguin?
Yes.
All right. That's approved.
Hello, one more comment, please. Hello?
Wait, we just adjourned?
I've had my hand up, but this can be unofficial. Could you just verify with David that the Village of Williamsburg has been and has currently signed up? We've been paying our dues every year, and I thought I heard mention that he was going to get with Williamsburg to find out about participation.
No, I'm sorry if I misled. Only in the fact that they have also offered support with the other member cities. So I've offered the mayor to keep her apprised of our efforts with the others. So that's what I meant. So no, they're very much a regular member for us. And we appreciate the bus shelter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I just want to say, Trustee Powie has been a strong advocate of the transit district, so I know Williamsburg has been there all the way.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I'm stepping in for her today, but everything looks good. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, and I apologize we missed you, but that during the roll call votes, we but appreciate it. I know, like Mayor Perea has been saying, you know, with Trustee Powie being such a strong advocate, I think it's been Williamsburg has been our biggest advocate in Sierra County, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll let her know. Okay, goodbye.
Bye. Thank you all. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone.